Welcome back to Wellness with Delaney. I am with the very own worm queen of social media. We are going to chat all about parasites today. This is Kim Rogers, the founder and CEO of Rogers Hood Apothecary. Kim, welcome to Wellness with Delaney.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. Okay, so what percentage of people have parasites?
Well, I believe 95% of the people have parasites.
Wow, 95%.
Yeah. And I think it's just really like a 95 to 100 because we don't cleanse. And that other 5% is like other countries that actually do cleanse. So they're not really in that number. And we don't have accurate testing. So, like the CDC says, around 60 million people have parasites, but that's 60 million people that actually got an accurate test, right? I'm not
Mm.
even one of those people. Worm Queen is not even one of those 60 million because I couldn't get an accurate test.
Wow. So you're telling me that 95% of people are walking around and they don't even realize that they're infested with worms and other parasites.
Right.
That's
They,
insane.
they
How did
don't
you
even
even,
know.
they don't know. How did you even discover this?
So in 2019, my husband and I decided to figure out what was going on with my health. And I'm not sure if you've seen my before or after picture. So I was pretty ill. We were getting our affairs in order for us to just, be okay with everything. When you can't get help in Western medicine, I come from Western medicine. It really is kind of a struggle when you don't know what's wrong with you and you've done everything right. So we went out to our log home property. We built our own log home, and that's what we were going to do. So we decided to like quit our lives and move out to our recreational property to build. And about a year and a half into it, I'd done a lot of mushrooms. I did a lot of meditation, and I still wasn't going to the bathroom, and I still was not doing really well. So I was scrolling on TikTok. I was scrolling with purpose, and I came across a gal who said that she almost unalived herself over worms. And I thought, that's really odd because I did think I had worms a few years before, and my doctor said, no, there's no way you have worms. We're a first world country. And I'm like, okay, right? Just sure. Um, did a little research, but just kind of put it aside, moved on. So I did another company's cleanse, and within 3 days, the pain and not going to the bathroom subsided, and I saw roundworm, pinworms, and flukes in the
Wow.
toilet.
Wow. How did you know what types of worms you were looking at?
Well, at the time, I mean, the pinworms were pretty known. They're small and white, and I come from Western medicine, so I've seen a lot of parasites in my life. I actually left working in urgent care because I didn't like worms and parasites. Like, parasites are more than just worms. They're scabies and lice, and so anything that lives off a host, that's the definition of a parasite. But so I've seen them in my life. It's just not something that I ever thought that I would have. So I did a video on TikTok and it went real viral. Like, a million people in 2 hours viral watched it. I
Wow.
gained 200,000 followers overnight.
Oh my gosh. Was that stressful for you, like gaining such fame instantly?
It was instant. I was prepared though. Like, I had a small account. I taught people about mushrooms. I taught them how to build. I mean, I was a homesteader. I was showing them how to build a log home while we were doing it. I think what was stressful though is that TikTok doesn't like that, right? Like, they
Mm-mm.
don't like what I'm doing. And so that was kind of stressful. I'd already been kind of deemed over in the TikTok tech world as a problem person. So that was stressful. But man, if there was anything I could go viral over, learning about your body, and I was a professor. So prior to me being ill in 2019, I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I authored multiple books. I was a professor at night. I have 2 healthcare degrees, valedictorian of both of my classes, and I just love the human body. And I even love Western medicine because it really is here to save your life. It's not really here to heal you. And so that was cool because that's where I was at in my life. So I kind of just looked at it as like therapy. I would hop on and I did like 10 15 videos a day sometimes. Like I really used it to gather information, which helped me make the Parafite kit and really helped me heal myself. I mean, ultimately, I learned so many things that I never would have learned if I hadn't gone viral.
Wow, and that's incredible too because you really are helping people find freedom in their bodies. I don't think people realize some of the crazy symptoms, I mean the anxiety, the
Mhm.
depression, the physical stuff, autoimmunity can stem from parasites. And
Yeah.
we go through every route before we go through cleansing. So can you share with me? I want to get into how you started the kit, but I would love to hear like what is the craziest thing you've seen while cleansing from parasites for yourself?
Me personally was a roundworm coming out of my foot.
Out of your foot? Did it hurt?
I mean, I still have a mark. It felt weird. It because they get real skinny and then they come out and it was swimming in the fulvic and I have it on video. So it's not like, everything I've done is on video. And I'm sitting there and I remember I'm doing a fulvic soak. My feet were in the fulvic and I was just sitting there and I was like, okay, nothing's happening. And I'm recording myself and I'm like, nothing's happening. Like, okay, is this how you guys all feel when you don't see anything or feel anything? Because that's how I'm feeling. And as soon as I stopped and said, that's how I'm feeling, I go, oh my God, there's movement. And I could feel it coming out of my feet. And it was so shocking. I immediately got up. I grabbed my husband. I made him come inside. He grabbed it because I didn't know what else to do. It was so freaky. He grabbed the pink barrel of fulvic water. We went outside and it just started swimming in the water. And I go, of course, in my mind, I know what it is, but I go, oh my God, Jeremy, what is that? And I'm like, I
That's
know what it
wild.
is. And then I posted that video. And so not only was I known as the worm queen because I talked about my own parasite journey, but now I'm talking about fulvic and I'm making fulvic soap go viral. So it kind of correlated into when I started my business because fulvic really took me to a whole nother level of
Yeah.
like viralism.
Yeah, that's crazy. How big was this roundworm?
It's not very big. It's very small. It could be considered like a thread worm in the roundworm family. I mean, looking at it, some people say it's another type of parasite. Like it's swimming though. Like whatever is happening in this water, it literally was going like this and then it turned and went back like this. Like it's obvious. And then there was a fluke floating and I took a video of that. And then my husband had some things come out of his. And so, I mean, I rarely show my own parasites, but that one I showed.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have to tell you because I'm doing your cleanse right now. And I'll
Mhm.
make sure to link the cleanse, you guys, if you're listening in the show notes, because it's crazy. So before I even started, I was like, let's start with the fulvic soak, see what it's all about. And I was looking online and I was seeing a lot of like people sharing their flecks in the water. I'm like, okay, I can handle that. No, within the first 5 minutes, I saw a worm. I didn't see it come out of me. I don't know
Mhm.
what crack or crevice it came out of. But I looked to my left and there's this little white worm just kind of like swimming and flitting around. Oh my gosh. But I was excited. I love
Yeah.
this stuff. I was like, holy crap. I was making my husband look at it. I was posting it on the internet. I'm like, you guys, this just came out of me. Like your fulvic soak works. How does it work? Like, how does fulvic acid draw out the parasites?
So your skin is your biggest organ and it's the fastest absorber. So it's literally absorbing instantly into your body. So if there's anything like in the surface right there, and then it's getting right into the bloodstream and it's just pushing things out of your cells, like it's immediate. People don't realize they don't realize their body. And that's kind of what made me really want to do this journey is that the human body is amazing and it really does show you things that you could never think it could show you, one of which is worms coming out of your body. And so you're absorbing it. And when you're in a bath or you're in a shower or you're swimming, you're absorbing 2 cups of water every 15 minutes when you're in there. And that's everything in it. So if you're sitting in a heavy metal pharmaceutical water that's not been filtered, you're absorbing all of that. And
Oh.
if you're sitting in a really amazing fulvic clay, salt bath, you're absorbing that too. And it's instant usually with absorption.
Wow. Do you recommend people doing the fulvic soak with filtered water then?
Absolutely. If you can. And there's ways to do that because I know filtered water is a difficult thing in our society, but there are things that you can do. We live in an apartment right now. We have our log home, but we can't actually live there anymore because there's so much mold in the outside. The log home's not moldy, but the air is. And we had that mold poisoning. But we now live in an apartment downtown Seattle, and we've got filters from Water Drop under our sinks, and then we also have filters that are on our shower head. And so if you have like a shower tub combo, just turn the shower on, get a filter. It has to be a 5 micron or smaller filter. I have some that are on my Amazon storefront, but you can also just go in and like type in shower filter 5 micron, and it's spelled Micron. And so if you fill, and you'll see this white bigger, clear filter. Just throw that on there. It's a 1 micron with add back. Turn on your shower and let the water go in your bathtub that way.
Amazing. Also, I live in Kirkland. I didn't know we were neighbors. We'll have to
Yeah.
meet up. That's
Oh my God, we
amazing.
have to. I
It's
live
so
downtown.
amazing. I love
Literally, this
that.
is this is my apartment view.
Stunning. Love that. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. Okay, so tell me, how did this discovery of parasites in yourself lead you to now inventing the Parafy kit?
So after about 6 months, well, less than six. So I went viral in July of 2021. So this is all very new. I have not been on this journey for very long. And around September, I was consistently talking about other people's products. Paragard, a couple of ladies that I know, they made Oregon grapefruit tinctures. I knew you needed to do a candida cleanse. I knew you needed to add things like zeolite for heavy metals because they hold on to heavy metals. And so when you're releasing these toxins, they're dumping back into your body. So if you don't bring in an herb to actually go in and sweep it out while you're parasite cleansing, you're kind of causing some more issues in your body. And so I'm talking about this every day, all day, 8 hours a day with people. And I'm talking about other people's products. So I reached out to a couple of those companies and I said, your ingredients say natural ingredients. Like, what are these natural flavors? Like, what are they? And they would not give me that information. And here I am on a very transparent, journey. And I'm very much in the public eye. At this point, I had like 300,000 followers. And people are asking me, well, why is there caramel coloring in this tincture? And I'm like, I don't know. Let me ask the company. So here I am going in between the customer, my community, making sure they're getting everything right, and the company. And I'm like, okay. And I'm also telling you, you have to do a heavy metal detox. You have to do a candida. You need to bind. You need to parasite cleanse. You need to make sure it has this. And I'm spending all of my day doing this. So I paused and I said, maybe I should just create my own. Now, I'm not in any space to have created my own. I'm in a travel trailer, still very chronically ill, building a log home. And so I actually came across who now is my best friend, and she runs our production facility that's in Jonesboro. And she offered to build me a website for free. And at the time, Linktree wasn't a thing. Like, all of this is very new in the last 4 years. Affiliates, Linktrees, none of that really existed 4 years ago over on TikTok. And so I said, yeah, I'd love a website. And she goes, I said, but I can't pay you. But if we ever start a business, I will make sure that we work together, because it just meant a lot to me that she would build our community a website and wanted to be a part of it like that. And so I said, but why don't we think about like making our own product? And she goes, well, I do have like 175 square feet shop behind my house. And I'm like, maybe. And so I started digging into what I was talking about. I'm not from the herbal world, but I grabbed all the herbal books and I just started reading them. And I started going through each ailment. When you're detoxing, you have a little bit of pain. So what could I bring in that assists with pain? White willow bark. Okay, check, right? And then heavy metals. Okay, so they're dumping heavy metals. What should I bring in order to help alleviate the heavy metals? What's that frequency? So I found out cilantro. And so I just started going through all of my own personal ailments and I matched it with a frequency.
That is amazing. And I can tell you, I mean, 1 week in, I'm definitely feeling a difference. Like okay, this is crazy. And I wonder if you can speak on this. So the first few days, I started it like 4 or 5 days before the full moon.
Okay.
And I was struggling at first, like really bad anxiety, the die-off symptoms, right?
Mhm.
Anxiety, brain fog, fatigue. I was bloated. I was getting acne. On the full moon, I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit it hard. So I did a coffee enema, I did a fulvic foot bath, and then of course I'm doing your Parafite kit. I woke up on Tuesday, the next day, feeling like $1,000,000. So I think that I was able to get a lot of the parasites out. Do you see that like there's kind of that at first it's really tough and then people start to
Mhm.
feel better pretty immediately?
Usually, because 'cause you've gone in and you were like, "I'm the boss." Really, the herbs are coming in and doing what they need to do, and usually you'll go through these phases where it's very painful at the beginning, it's uncomfortable. It's not really painful, it's just really uncomfortable. You get headaches and, what you're saying, the die-offs and stuff, but then they come in and they kind of neutralize, and then you might go through another bout of it, and then they go back in, but usually your first 2 cleanses are the hardest. So you can get through those. You can pretty much start to just take the herbs and it doesn't affect you as bad. And it's really bad when you don't have all of this support
Mhm.
because that's what it's about. It's supporting all of your detox pathways with other herbs like dandelion root supports your liver. That's like your last pathway before it leaves.
Mhm.
Like your body, it's your main detox out there. So
Yeah, that's what I
I'm
love.
so glad you love it. I'm
Oh,
so
I
glad.
love it. I'm a big fan. I feel like it's really all-encompassing, where I've done a
Mhm.
lot of detoxes where I then need to bring in other things, right? To make sure I'm binding it or just I feel like I have to do all these steps, but it's really easy with yours. It's like I know exactly what to do, when to do it,
Mhm.
and that's it. So, what are some of the common symptoms of someone having parasites?
Grinding your teeth is a big one.
Really?
That's really a number 1 that I say, grinding your teeth. Your nervous system and your lymphatic system are being hijacked. And so your body's trying to tell you something's wrong, and it's not normal to grind your teeth,
Mm,
especially at night. So the other thing is insomnia. If you have insomnia and you also eat after 7 p.m. and you're craving sweets and salt, that's because they wake up and they're nocturnal creatures. So at 7 p.m., it's their morning. And so, of course, that's like when, you're like trying to rest for the rest of the night. And no, they're not going to have it. They want you to be up and they want you to be eating because they're ready to eat. It's so
wow.
weird.
That
It's
is
so weird.
so
It's so
crazy. So is there validity? Because people say they wake up at like
weird.
3 AM. Is that a thing
Mhm.
with parasites?
Yeah, that's like their, midday,
Wow. That is
right?
so wild. What are the main types of parasites that people will be cleansing with your kit?
Roundworm, flukes, pinworms, a lot of tapeworms, actually. We have a lot of tapeworms out there in life. It's quite strange. They say like 3 out of 5 people have a tapeworm. So it's quite a few people. That's why we added hawthorn berry in hawthorn leaf into the Parafite kit and Parafite itself is because of that. And I was seeing so many tapeworms in my DMs because, people send me their stuff all the time. So I get to see, but I would say flukes are a big one because a lot of people eat sushi and salmon, and so, yeah, that's ways to get them.
So crazy. Okay, so can you talk me through like the steps of your cleanse for the people who are like,
Mhm.
okay, this is interesting, but like how, like, what does it entail?
3 tinctures and a binder. That's it. You take it 3 times a day. We've actually simplified the, instructions even more. You take it 3 times a day, preferably before meals, but if you don't, that's okay. It's a tincture. And so the difference between pills and a tincture is that tinctures are readily available. They immediately absorb in the bloodstream because they go right into your mouth and they absorb immediately and they don't have to fight with anything. And so they get right into your bloodstream, getting in and pushing crap out of your cells and just allowing you to detox, I think, in a more gentle way, in my opinion.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I like the tincture. It feels really like
Mhm.
immediate, like that
Yeah.
bioavailable. And honestly, I was worried about taste because I feel like sometimes people are sensitive to tinctures. But if you have ever taken an herbal tincture in your life, like this is nothing. I don't think it's
Yeah.
bad at all. So I was expecting, I was expecting it to be tough because I've done some tough cleanses, but this one is honestly pretty pleasant and it goes down really, really easy. Is it
Mm.
common? to see like those huge, massive parasites when you do a cleanse, or are most people going to be cleansing like really tiny parasites?
I think both. I think that it just depends on what you've picked up over your lifetime. I don't see really big, crazy, large ones out of my body, but I mean, I get large, crazy pictures. And I've never seen a ropeworm out of my body, but there's a lot of people that have ropeworm and mucoid plaque. I think there's a lot of people infested in life, and I think that they accumulate in your body just getting bigger and building. And so, but I've never seen anything that crazy, but I mean, every day I see that craziness.
Right. And you kind of have to like dig to see, right?
I mean, some. So there's
Yeah.
3 types of cleansers. There's flushers, there's lookers, and there's diggers.
I love it. Which one are you?
I'm a flusher. I
I
think for
like
a
can't
while I
dig.
was a looker. What are
Yeah.
you?
I feel like I'm a looker, but like I can't bring myself to dig. Like if I
Yeah.
can see it, I can see it, but like I'm curious. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that I don't want to
Mhm.
see, I do. It's just the method in which like I just have a hard time like digging for the parasite. I want it to be right there. Like I want to
Yeah,
know what I cleansed, but
same.
I'm a little icked out. I'm glad to know that it's leaving though.
Yeah,
Are a lot of parasites microscopic?
yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of parasites are microscopic, like D. fragilis, crypto, which is what I had, and giardia. And my husband had D. fragilis. They're really a waterborne type of a parasite, and they're microscopic. And then I was watching this video, and I don't know if you've seen the video that I did that's viral. That I was like green screen in front of the pineapple juice, and okay. So the purpose of that one, I love it because first off, I didn't know pineapple juice was such an anti-parasitic, and it is, but also how it obliterates and puts them to nothing. So if you're taking an anti-parasitic like Parafy and Sustain and you're looking, you hopefully don't find a whole lot of things because it should be like breaking them down to nothing. You know what I mean?
Mhm. That's amazing. Okay, on that vein, what are some of your favorite anti-parasitic foods?
Well, now pineapple.
Yeah.
Pumpkin seeds, that's always my go-to, and they do that purposefully because it goes on, things like salads, right? And so you're eating anti-parasitic foods for that exact reason in order for it to go into your stomach and, like, make it inhospitable so that they don't wanna stay. And you can do that with the Parafy kit prior to eating anything questionably. Some people just cannot give up the seafood, and that's okay. Just cleanse prior, like right before you eat. Take the Parafy, let it get in your system and like kind of mull around so that they don't want to stay because that's the whole purpose of it. So when you eat things like papaya or papaya seeds, I'm not a big fan of papaya seeds as an anti-parasitic. I've read a lot of studies, and I'm just not a fan that they create cyanide, and you have to go through and make sure you're doing it more than 24 hours apart because you can actually have too much papaya seeds and it can end you in the hospital. So I'm not a big fan of that, but that is an anti-parasitic food. There's quite a few in life out there, and you just don't even realize that you're eating something that's an anti-parasitic.
That's amazing. Is coconut oil anti-parasitic?
It's anti-parasitic, but it's not like a main cleanse. It's not going to
Mm,
go in. It's just going to help keep your body inhospitable. Things like clove, garlic is anti-parasitic. We actually use garlic in the Parafy kit. We soak it in for like 5 to 8 weeks
wow.
in
I can
alcohol.
taste the garlic. I can really
Yeah.
taste it. I like knew I didn't read, but I knew that was in there right away. What are some of the worst offenders when it comes to parasitic foods?
Well, salmon.
I know. I saw that on your Instagram. I'm like, no.
It's
It
so
kills me.
bad.
Living in Seattle, oof, that's tough.
Mm. Not just living in Seattle, but I just love salmon. Like I love it. It's one of my favorite foods, not anymore, but yeah, Seattle. I've gone down to Pike and they know who I am. I went down there and I interviewed them, and I was like, "So what are the biggest offending fish?" And they're like, "Well, all fish." Well, and I'm like, "So they all have worms?" He was like, "I mean, that's natural." I'm all, well, if you hopped on my account, you would never know that it was a natural thing for all
Yeah.
fish to have worms.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Even like are little fish gonna like the ones like sardines, do they still have a lot of parasites?
I mean, they're in the ocean and they're eating, whatever's in that water. And if you think about the like animals like bears, right? You see my videos where the bears have the tapeworms coming out of their butt. They're eating better fish than us.
You're right. Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm so sad. Trust me. Seafood is my jam. We were crabbers. Like this is not just changed everyone around life, but you guys are all seeing what I'm sad about too.
Mhm. Oh, I gave up sushi a while ago. I used to be like sushi once a week. I loved it. And then I started going down the parasite like rabbit hole and I was like, no more. I miss you, sushi. Love you, but you and I are no longer friends. And I would always like feel like my stomach did not feel great after eating sushi. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder. Okay.
Yeah.
And then okay, tell me about pork. I have been learning about pork and how, which I actually don't eat it at all. I haven't for years, but I've been learning about like them being more susceptible to parasites and not detoxing. Is there validity to that?
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, tell me about this.
Okay, so RFK Jr. actually has neurocystic and that is a tapeworm of the brain, and he got it from undercooked pork.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's like a dead physical worm in his brain that ate some of his brain, and he talks about it. So it's very, very bad to eat undercooked pork. The pig itself is not clean and it rolls around in its own and other animals, but it only has one stomach and it has no lymphatic detox system in its body. So it never pushes anything out. So anything it eats, it just stays in it. And then the closer to the belly of anything, it's going to have more parasites. But for a pig, it's like the whole body of the pig. It's literally rolling around in poop and eating it. So it's like it's not ever detoxing in any fashion. Where like a cow has 3 stomachs and it has a better filtration system and it can detox its body where the pig can't. So that's kind of why pork is not really great to eat. It's because of that.
That is very good to know. I mean, I've been learning about this lately. I'd never really like fact checked it, but for
Mhm.
some reason I've had this pork aversion for years. And I was like, I'm just going to listen to my body. Like I'm not going to eat it. And now I feel vindicated because
Yeah.
everyone's always like, why won't you just touch bacon? I'm like, no, there's something about it that
Mhm.
terrifies me and I'm not going to eat it. So now I feel very vindicated. Are there certain foods to avoid that feed the parasites?
Yeah, there's sugar, alcohol, carbs, processed food, because they live off all of that. They like literally love sugar. I did another video where it was behind me and like there was a sugar cube and they just freak out. It's like crack to them and they thrive on that. So there are things like candida as a parasite. We all have yeast in our body, but when it becomes overgrown, it turns into candida, which is a parasite. Again, parasite verbiage is anything that feeds off a host, or in Latin, it's an unwanted dinner guest. And so you're feeding that, and they're actually telling you what to eat. It's not like your human body sits down and goes, I want that candy bar. That's just not really the way we work. But you have another living thing inside of you that actually can hijack you and tell you then you want that candy bar. And there's studies like Toxoplasmosis gondii. It's the cat parasite. It actually controls the brain of the mouse to go cuddle up to the cat to get eaten in order for it to regenerate to the next level of toxo, which is from an enzyme of the cat's gut. It's sexually attracted to the cat's urine, and then it loses its inhibition to feel fear. And so it heads over to the cat eats it, the cat gets toxo, and then it develops into the next level, and then the cat poops it out, and then we catch toxo. Then we catch toxo, and our fears are gone, and our sexual inhibition is gone. We're out there doing whatever, and bam, we have toxoplasmosis. It's like 60% of the country at one point had toxo. 50% of France has toxo.
Wow. So
Mhm.
wait, so does Toxo like contribute to people being more sexually active or having that drive?
Yes, they actually have like fighters go to Mexico to get infected with toxo so they can fight better because you have no more fear. It literally removes the fear in your brain, and
Oh
it
my
makes you
gosh.
go and do questionable things sexually.
Wow, maybe everyone needs a parasite cleanse and we can put an end to hookup culture. That is so crazy.
Oh, good.
You're
That's so
blowing my mind right now, Kim. This is why they call you the worm queen. My mind
yeah.
is being absolutely blown. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. So
So there
really
was
this
yeah,
the symptoms are endless with
it's
different
endless.
parasites?
Yeah, it's endless, and it's wild because oh, I gotta tell you this. They did a study on crotch rockets, the writers that died, 100% of them had toxo.
Of course they did.
It's wild. I'm like, "Well, why would you wanna get on that thing?" "Oh, because you have toxoplasmosis." Right. I think that we as a society in Western medicine countries has just really lost our way when it comes to environmental toxins. I mean, ultimately, that is where we're at. Other countries cleanse, other countries deworm, other countries know this is an issue. You would never go to Mexico and drink their water. Don't drink the water here. I literally have tested the water in Seattle and I've tested the water in Hoodsport, and they both were positive for nematodes, larvae, roundworm. So it's in our water, it's in our food, it's in our soil. Like it just is. These are it's natural, and they're smarter than us. They're evaders. They can be there undetected. We don't have good testing. It's like a huge thing I'm on right now. Why can't I go get a good mold test? Why can't I go get a good parasite test? Why is this such a thing? Other countries have gotten it together and they let their people go across the street to the pharmacy and get a $7 anti-parasitic, and they're required to do it 2 times a year. You got countries like Jamaica doing a tea every month with a herb called the bush. Like, why aren't we? Like, what's the deal here, you know? And
Mhm.
we can blame it on Western medicine. We can say it's all Western medicine, but we've only been in Western medicine for 100 years. 101 actually. So it's like we also haven't wanted to gain this knowledge. We've also made this a taboo subject. And it doesn't have to be because it really is affecting a lot of people and they just don't even know it. They'll do a cleanse like you are, right? How much better do you feel?
So much better. Already within 1 week, and I still
Mhm.
have, like, what, 3 weeks to go?
Yep.
Yeah,
And all
that's
you're doing is taking some simple herbs that
mhm.
were just formulated to get you through this so that you feel better and you have less brain fog and your anxiety's better because they hold on to trauma. They literally can hold 6 to 8 times their weight in heavy metals, spores, viruses, trauma. I mean, all of this is frequency and energy. And when you get in there and you realize that something has hijacked you, why don't you want to get rid of it? Even if you don't even know for sure, why wouldn't you even want to try? And that's kind of I think what's made this such a big movement is that I'm not creating something that's hurting you. Like you're actually going to just feel better. And
Mhm.
I think that we've just gotten away from being a proactive country with sick care instead of, we're so reactive instead of being proactive. We're in a sick culture versus being in a health culture.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to dig in more to the testing too. Like,
Yeah.
why are Western tests giving people false negatives?
I don't know. I mean, I really would love to sit down with someone because I can tell you my thoughts on why, and it's kind of like a twofold because they are evaders. So, they're easily undetected and you can go through a cycle where you're not going to see them. And then you can go through a cycle during a full moon where that's when you should be testing. And they don't know enough and they're not willing in Western medicine to learn more about this because we don't have them. So that's immediately stop, right? But if you look at some of the testing that I actually have done, one to myself and two, I look at other people's on like a daily, I can see exactly where heightened levels are. And just because it didn't test this way doesn't mean that you can't still do a cleanse. That's kind of also like a weird taboo thing. But there's high levels of eosinophils, and that means that you have mold, parasites, or fungus in your cells. It's literally your blood telling you that something's going on that your body's trying to fight. And Western medicine immediately says it's just a mild infection. It's like, but why? Like,
Mhm.
what's the root cause of it? And when I look at my labs over my whole life, because I have my medical records since the day I was born, my EOS has always been high. And I now know that I had chronic Lyme at a very young age. I was exposed to mold by my mom in her belly, because you can pass mold in the womb. And I was exposed to parasites. And so of course my EOS is high. My body has been fighting this for decades, you know? And then I actually took my stool and I sent my stool to LabCorp, and I sent the same stool sample to parasites.org, and I sent it to Mexico, and I found out what was wrong with me through parasites.org, and I was negative at LabCorp.
Wow.
So, coming from a professional side who taught lab technicians, you don't get time to look to see. You get 3 minutes. The stool sits for 10 days prior to the lab technician looking at it for 3 minutes. If they don't see an egg or anything out of the ordinary that they can compare to what they know, they move it past it and they say it's negative. And then there's a fine print at the bottom of all of your lab slips that say, this is not in lieu of a parasitic infection. And that is what the insurance goes off of, which, you know, this is about money. And that is what your doctor goes off of. The insurance will not pay for any medicine if you do not test positive.
Wow. That
And your
is
doctor won't believe
insane.
you if the labs from Western medicine doesn't test positive. So, and it could be in a cycle. Literally, you can go through cycles where they're not feeling afraid, so they're not exposing themselves, so there's nothing going to be in your stool. But why we don't have better testing for parasites and mold in the year of 2025, I don't know. Like, I understand how we can get better testing, and I understand we need continuing education about this for the doctors who are not believers. Like, there's ways we can go about doing this. And we're definitely in a phase of our life right now that this is the time for us to have this medical awakening and have more medical freedom and have accurate testing for things to just rule it out. Like,
Mhm.
test us a few times throughout a few phases of the month. Like, just give us some antiparasitics because it's not going to hurt us, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is wild. But honestly, like people like you going viral, sharing what you are, I think that can only help, right? So at the end of the
Mhm.
day, it's so cool to see people like you taking matters into your own hands, coming up with this cleanse, getting information out to people. I mean, you are every day pumping out such quality
Thanks.
educational content around parasites. I've learned so much, and I've already been somebody who's been aware of parasites. So I mean, I'm learning so much. I'm having my mind blown. So I think just keep doing what you're doing because you're pushing the needle more
Thank
than you probably even realize. Well, with the whole movement that we're seeing now regarding natural
Mhm.
health, this kind of stuff pushes the needle and really does make a difference. Okay, I want to move on to mold and Lyme and lymph, but I
Yeah,
have just one more
of
parasite
course.
question. So I don't know the validity of this, and I don't know if you
Mhm.
would, but I saw something a while ago because I stopped taking anything that has like natural flavors in it. And I saw
Mhm.
something about the chemical solvents and the natural flavors helping parasites like move from your gut to different organs and membranes. I don't know if that's true, but like how do parasites end up moving around your body out of like the digestive system?
Well, they're actually in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle. The wrong information that I think we've all been indoctrinated with is that they're only in our gut. In fact, there's a very small amount that are in our gut. They're very much in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle, and they can burrow deep. And that's why they're so hard to detect. And what we're doing is we're bringing them out. We're saying, hey, hello, we know you're here. We can feel your frequency and come on out and hang out with us. We break their biofilm, which is their home. We go in and we destroy their home with, in our case, in metal flush, lungwort lichen. It busts this hard shell that they've encased themselves with, and then they're exposed, and then we go in and we torch them, right? That's what we do with the rest of the herbs. So they're able to do it, right? So because they're not just in our gut and they can grab around our bodies, but The main way that they do it mostly during the full moon is because serotonin. So they eat your serotonin, which makes you have anxiety, which makes you feel bad about yourself. And that's why I know when it's time for me to cleanse, because I feel unworthy. And I know that I'm smart and I have a lot, to offer, but they take that away from you because they're taking that happy hormone away from you. And during the full moon, it's heightened. And that's when they can hop on that serotonin expressway, and they can move more throughout your body than they can on any other normal time. And that's why they tell you to do it during the full moon. I say just do it anyway, but that's why they say the full moon. In fact, it's actually 3 days prior to the full moon if you are going to follow this protocol. And I learned this from the French. So the French eat a lot of snails, which produces schistomiacin, which is really a very uncomfortable parasite that I had. It coats your woman parts as well as your bladder, and a lot of women have had hysterectomies that have actually just had schistomiacin. And there's a ton of articles in the CDC and in the the National Health Institute, and basically the French eat all these snails. And so they know that the parasites start to dislodge themselves 3 days prior to the full moon. And that's when they parasite cleanse.
Wow. Okay. That is insane. Once again, my mind is being blown. The serotonin, I've known full moon parasites, never really knew why.
Mhm.
It was one of those things I was like, guess we'll never know. But now we do. That's
Mhm.
crazy. Okay. So then tell me, today's an exciting day. The day that we're recording, you
Mhm.
just launched a brand new product. Can you tell me about this?
Yeah, it's the lymph kit.
Tell me about the lymph kit. I'm excited. I love all things lymph.
Okay, so a lot of our community wants to know what you have to do prior to doing a parasite cleanse. And it's always to make sure you're doing the 3 Ps: peeing, pooping, and perspiring. The problem is it's really hard to do that when you've been chronically ill, you're sedentary. I didn't poop for like a month, so it was very difficult for me to go to the bathroom. But if you have some assistance, and that's what I did, I just brought in some more beautiful herbs that will help assist your body in breaking down any toxins that aren't going to cause you to be ill, like when you're taking the Parafy kit, but it's also helping move your lymphatic system. And then I also know how important it is to protect your brain. And while you're doing this, you have a lot of brain fog and you're not feeling like yourself. So if you can bring something in to release some of that brain fog and also show you how you should cleanse, that's what you got to do. So for the last year and a half, I've been working on this particular blend of herbs, and it's amazing. Like, my mental clarity is so much better because I brought in lion's mane and holy basil to calm my nervous system and allow me to feel better, right? And I might not want to go through a cleanse right now, but I definitely want to feel better. And so I designed this lymphatic kit so that you could get some release in your lymphatic drainage, hop on a vibration plate, feel better, have some energy to actually start clearing your lymphatic in order for you then to have a better cleanse.
I love that. So do you take them separately or can you take it in tandem with the cleanse?
You can take them in tandem with the
I
cleanse.
bet that's powerful.
Yes, it really is great. I actually brought in Sustain into this kit, which it's the opposite way. Sustain is my favorite tincture because it has usnea, which helps with Lyme. So not only is it for lymphatic drainage, but it's also got Lyme herbs in it because I have chronic Lyme. And when you have Lyme, it never goes away. You just are constantly just keeping it in remission or at bay or keeping your flares down. And so I did a lot of research, and usnea, which is in Sustain, is Mother Nature's doxycycline, and it stops that movement in your feet because a lot of Lyme patients, it's a constant movement. Like, you can feel the Lyme in your body. It gives you a weird vibration as well. So it helps calm that down so you can go back to feeling a little normal. And then I brought in cat's claw, which is in the lymph tincture itself, and that helps repair your DNA. So we've had a lot of DNA damage from the heavy metals, from parasites, from mold. And if you can bring an herb in to work with your body in order to repair that, you're off to a great start.
Wow, that is amazing. I bet that is just really insane to take in tandem because the cleanse already feels amazing, and then just
Mhm.
adding that in to bring in all of those benefits. And then you've mentioned lime, and I know lime cleansing is something you talk about. So sustain being really good for that. Are there any other resources that help with lime cleansing?
I have not developed it yet, but it is in my list. So the next tincture that I'm going to develop will be a direct lime tincture, and I'm bringing in Teasol and Japanese knotweed. I also just found that drinking tonic water, because it has quinine in it, actually helps them from reproducing. And so I've been drinking quinine, so tonic water every day for the last 2 weeks because I had a really bad flare. It was a mental flare and a physical flare, and it was right when I was ending my trip in Nashville, so it was really tough because I was flying, and so I just was really, like, researching, what can I do? Where can I go? And how can I get some help? And it just kept popping up, quinine, quinine. So it's really, that's a lymphatic mover, and so I really started looking at, okay, so you bring in anything that's gonna move your lymphatic system, anything you can bring in addition, and it's really going to help push those flares to be less and less.
Amazing. I've been seeing a lot more Lyme lately. Like a lot of people have been sharing that they have it and their
Mhm.
experience. And I don't know if it's just the information rise or if like we're seeing more Lyme. Maybe you can speak to that. But like what are some of the symptoms that led you to discover that you have chronic Lyme?
Well, I've had it for over 30 years. And I think that if I had this information, I would have never gotten a hysterectomy.
Mm,
That's where I'm at with all of that.
wow.
Yeah, I was 29 when I got it, and when I got the histo, but I didn't know I had Lyme until 2 years ago. So I literally have gone over 30 years with having chronic Lyme and being labeled with every single thing that could possibly be labeled, and come to find that my parasites and mold were actually just a co-infection. They weren't my only infection, but they were the root that allowed me to find out that I had Lyme. Um, a lot of mine is that it caused my brain to swell, and I had a lot of mental health issues. And then I was going through a lot of joint pain, and I have an issue with my left side. A lot of Lyme patients have issues with their left side. I don't know why it attacks your left side, but it does. And it is an equal opportunity attacker. So I have one spot that I know when I'm ready to have a flare. It's in my left hip, and it just, you can feel them going in and just drilling themselves down because it's a spirochete and it's alive, and then it coats itself with a biofilm. And fortunately, metal flesh helps a lot with that, but T-sol actually will go in and really push the needle when it comes to pulling the Lyme out of the muscle and really eradicating it. Like, even right now, it knows I'm talking about it. I can feel like movement in my feet. It's just such a weird it's just such a weird parasite, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like if you haven't had it, like I'm trying to conceptualize how that feels, and it's really sad too, because I think, and I want to be sensitive saying this, but how many people jump to like anti-anxiety, antidepressant, all these things, right? Even
Mhm,
ADHD medications, like all these
mhm.
like mental health medications, when really there could actually be a root cause where like it's not them, it's the parasites, you
Right.
know?
Yep.
And not to say there's never a time for those things, but why like, it makes me sad that we're not looking at this as a society because how many people wouldn't need to resort to these Band-Aid treatments that they're on for the rest of their life if there's something other than their own brain causing mental health issues?
Yep. Why not just give it a try?
Yeah,
Like, why not just give Parafide a try?
yeah.
I mean, I was on antidepressants, and I was on Klonopin for 22 years.
Wow.
Klonopin is one of the strongest benzodiazepines known. And it's why I pay homage to the Amanita, because Amanita's DNA structure is the same as Klonopin. It's just synthesized with the way Big P does it, right? Why not just stop for a moment before having any life altering surgeries, before going on an extensive big pharma, synthetically driven drug. And again, I am for big pharma. I am for Western medicine. I am just not for it for everything, you know?
Mhm.
So there's a difference. And why not just give it a try? That's ultimately what this all ends up looking like is that after 30 days, if you're still feeling crappy, then you can go and pivot to something else. If within a week to 2 weeks, you're like, oh my gosh, I've lost a little weight. I feel different. I feel better. Even if you're having side effects like you've gained some weight on it, that's a side effect of a die off that you have something going on fighting to not die, you
Yeah.
know? Just
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So there's so many alternatives now that we don't know about because we've only been indoctrinated for 100 years with Western medicine.
Mhm. It's insane. Yeah, no, today my boxing trainer is asking me, like, "So what difference do you feel?" Because I was telling him the very first couple days I was bloated, breaking out, all these things. He's like, "What do you feel now?" I was like, "Feel happier and I feel skinnier." Like, that's
Mhm.
it. I feel so light
Mhm.
within 1 week. It's pretty amazing. Okay, I really wanna touch on mold before we run out of time. So,
Okay.
can you tell me a bit about mold cleansing and how that's different?
Yes, but I do wanna tell you, you
Yeah.
should add in the Z app into your life, Z dash app. Have you ever used that?
No.
Okay. So it's a free app. It's all frequencies. You can literally go in and type in different frequencies, and you should add that to your cleanse.
Wow,
You can
okay.
also go on YouTube. I have a bunch of just samples on you from YouTube over on my channel. So go into YouTube and just type in parasite frequencies and add that in as just an extra layer because it matches the frequency of what you've chosen for the parasite and it shatters it more in your body. That's all I did with the kits. I figured out the frequency of the herb and then the frequency of the ailment and I went in and I created this shattering effect like when opera singers sing and they break the glass. That's all I did with herbs and an ailment. So I
So
did the
cool.
same with the mold. I had mold poisoning myself. So in 21 I went viral, and then in 2022 at the beginning I started the business, and then in June of 22 my eyes started to swell shut and I lost half my hair. And it was really upsetting because I didn't know what was going on. And I thought, oh my gosh, what have I done to myself? Like, here I am, like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm living in a travel trailer while we're still building our log home. It took us 5 years to build this log home. So we lived in that for a few years. And I found out we had Aspergillus niger poisoning in our travel trailer, which is a
Wow.
co-infection with parasites and Lyme. So here I am. I'm trying to do all these parasite things, and I find out that I actually am living in Aspergillus niger, and I'm like 8.5 out of 10 on the scale of like how sick I really was. And so I immediately moved us out, putting us immediately in mold avoidance, and never lived there again. And now we're really sensitive to mold. But I created a kit specifically because there's no kits out there for mold either. There's no good testing for mold. Like, there's nothing for mold. So I'm like, oh, so I'm finding all these companies and I'm looking at all their products. And I've tried like 4 or 5 different types of cleanses my doctor told me to get and another practitioner that I was seeing for mold. And it was confusing. And when you have mold, it's very hard to think
Mhm.
because mold controls your brain. It's actually brainwashing and parasites are controlling. And it'll go in and it'll shoot off spores and those spores create like a stop for your nervous system and the way that your brain functions normally and you can't even think. Like, it takes everything to get up and even go to the bathroom because mold is like that. And so I just wanted it to be easy for people.
That is incredible. Yeah, the mold brain fog is real, like so real. And then I see people who like have black mold or whatever, right, in their homes and they're putting bleach on it, right? And then like, okay,
Mhm.
problem solved. What is the issue with that?
Well, bleach actually creates more spores. Bleach goes in and makes the mold be feared. And so, in order for the mold to survive, it's now going to put out more spores. It doesn't bleach isn't going in and like killing it. It's going in and creating more of it. So it's kind of like what you do if you don't bind when you're cleansing. You put it into a frenzy and now it's dropping eggs and dropping toxins because it's like scared. And that's what spores do. They're all alive. These are all alive frequency things that can live in our bodies and live outside of our bodies. And when you see something on the wall, like when you see mold on the wall, that's what it looks like in your body. It's colonizing just like that in your body. It's just you can't see it, so you don't understand it.
So crazy. I swear when I in my old apartment had black mold that I discovered and
Mm,
my acne was so bad.
mhm.
My brain, I was so jittery and fatigued and like it that honestly for me was a huge part of what took me down this like holistic rabbit hole. And actually, okay, I don't know if you've heard of Aries, but like it's an EMF protection that I use that actually
Oh,
runs waves through the frequency. And I've been learning how mold interacts with EMF, and EMF
oh,
makes mold more aggressive.
yep.
And so I definitely want to connect you with Aries if you're interested because that's
Yes.
been something that's really helped with mold toxicity when I was experiencing it really badly because I didn't realize all my tech devices from working at home were also like totally blasting that mold and making it grow and react like crazy.
It's magnifying it,
Mhm.
right? You can feel it pulling. It's weird because like it's literally like a magnet. It's just pulling it more and more, which it's then pulling it out and then it's colonizing because it thinks it's in fear. And so it goes into survival and starts spitting out more spores in your
It's
body.
so
Yeah.
crazy.
And you have
Absolutely
to be
wild.
careful when you are parasite cleansing. If you don't know that you live in mold, you have to be really careful because what wormwood does is suppress it. And that's what happened to me. So I didn't know we were in mold. It suppressed it down. So I wasn't having symptoms of the mold. And then once I got off the Parafite kit, I gave myself a break. It was the first time in a year I'd been like, I'm taking a break. It's been a year. We've been heavily detoxing. And then as soon as I did that, my eyes swelled shut like the next day because my body got a break from the parasite cleansing. And then I got a break from the mold with wormwood. I let go of the wormwood. And then the mold's like, oh my gosh, my best friend parasites are gone now. I'm taking over the whole building. Right.
Wow.
That's what happens. So a lot of mold experts say don't parasite cleanse first, but I'm an expert in both at this point, and I say parasite cleanse first, at least 2 to 3 paraphies because they're holding those spores. If you go in and try and remove the mold spores out of your body, you're not going to get a whole lot of them because they're usually harboring inside of a physical body of a worm. And so if you go in and you get rid of those first, I put in Ceylon cinnamon and cinnabin, the binder, to help remove those spores. And then wormwood will suppress the spores from actually colonizing more in your body so that then you can come in and actively start removing the mold from your body.
That is amazing. Yeah, I love Cinnabon also, taking it at night. The first couple days, I felt like I was, like, so constipated, and that helped me so
Mhm.
much. I mean, every morning, like clockwork, Cinnabon just saved my life after taking it at night. It was
That's
phenomenal. Like,
awesome.
you can tell it's a powerful binding, like, supplement. So,
Yeah.
okay, on top of the cleanse, I'd love to hear, are there any lifestyle, like, whether it's treatments or things that you like to do to support cleansing in your day-to-day?
I definitely think you need to sit in front of a red light. If you're not getting outside and getting real sunlight, like myself, I don't always get outside. Plus, I live in Washington, so it's cloudy a lot. But I I sit in front of a red light. I actually have a red light that's right here. I mean, I have a red light right there. I have a red light infrared sauna. I definitely think that if you can like do that on a daily, I also think that if you bring in some castor oil and red light, it's really helpful because it helps break down the toxins even more. The red light pushes the castor oil deeper into your body. I like doing hyperbaric chamber oxygen therapy. That's really great, especially if you have mold. Getting more oxygen into your cells is really a great way to detox. So I love HBOT. IVs, vibration plate, moving your body, the lymph kit, all of those things are just going to continue to help you push your health more.
I love every single one of those things. Are you a fan of, like, the enemas and colonics during
Mm.
cleansing?
I am a fan of enemas and colonics, and I usually say I like closed colonics because I like someone to sit with me, but I'm actually just gonna say I just like colonics. I think
Mhm.
that anytime you go in and assist that pathway to get it moving even more and to make sure that you have things going, that's the best. What do you like colonics and coffee enemas?
Yeah, so I've been doing enemas for a while, and I like them. I feel like obviously they help, but it's limited, right? Because you're not getting the whole gut. And
Mhm.
so I got a gravity colonic a couple weeks ago.
What's
So
that?
I so there's like two different kinds of colonics. There's the one that's the machine pump, and then there's the one that's gravity where it's like you have a person massaging your stomach and it's flowing with gravity instead of pumped via machine. When I had done the machine
Oh,
colonic, it was a really uncomfortable experience. This was years ago,
mhm,
and I was really like I felt like because you have to hold and push and there was a stranger in the room, I was just really not doing well with it, and I feel like it
mhm,
was actually pretty painful. And so I got this where like your body kind of gives into it, like you're not actually having to do any work. The the tubing itself and the valves take care of everything for you, and you're getting this abdominal massage, and she clears out like all 5 feet of your colon, like of your gut.
nice.
And I loved it. It was so gentle. I wasn't like running to the toilet after. Like when I got the first colonic, I felt like my
Mhm,
body was wrecked after. And it cleared me out. Like it was amazing. And then also the girl doing it was just so lovely and gentle. And you could tell she loved what she was doing. Like she was passionate about it. So it takes away any of that discomfort. But yeah, so I did an enema on Monday during the full moon. And then I love colonics. Like I'd love to get them more, especially while cleansing. So I feel like it really did just reset my body.
it does. It gets all of it out. I mean, think about it. Your body's pushing those toxins out, and then they're just chilling inside of your colon, like
Yeah.
reabsorbing. So
She was saying that's like parasite food too. She was
it
like,
is.
"Yeah, you gotta get it out." Like, "Oh my gosh." And she said within one session, you can clear like 13 bowel movements or something crazy. And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm little. Where does it go? Because I'm not really bloated." And she was like,
Yeah.
"It's squishing your organs." I couldn't believe
Mhm.
it.
Well, your intestine is 22 feet long. It's a
Wow.
conveyor belt. So, I think that we should have better A&P in high school. Like, you should really know how your body works
Mhm.
more than some of the other classes that you're required to take in high school. But you have 22 feet of intestine, and then just think about it, one part of at foot 12 stops working, right? Foot 14 is going to have issues, and then you got to back up a foot at foot 10.
Mhm.
So that's where our issues are with our gut, is that it there we got backups, and then those backups cause like divots inside of the smooth muscle because it's smooth, but then you've got divots in it, and that's where they live in those divots. They're eating all of that grossness. You got to back up on aisle 14 foot, you got to back up over on 10, so you really think about how the body works, and then it's all wrapped up inside. Then it gets bloated and it pushes you out even more. That's how it all works.
So crazy. So if you're listening, this is your sign to order Parafy,
Mm.
which I will actually put a discount code in the show notes for you guys as a gift to the listeners, and schedule your colonic. At the very least, do an enema, which is
Yes.
like a baby colonic if you think about it. So let's get that ish out. So
Mhm.
tell me, Kim, what is your health goal?
Oh, my health goal. I want to stay active. I want to continue to work on zero flares. I mean, I know that that's something that I'm going to have the rest of my life because I have all of these things that you're like remission, not remission, but I want to just remain healthy. I want my brain to work at the optimal level. I never want to go back to where I was a few years ago on death's door. I want to continue to be able to push forward and continue to help my community. And I can only do that as I'm, healing my body.
Beautiful. I love that your journey has become a platform to help others on their journey. Like, what an amazing way to use the struggles you faced and to create something powerful and good from that, which
Thank
I think
you.
is something anyone should strive to do. Like, use those struggles and help others with it. Kim, where can people find you and find Rogers Hood Apothecary?
Well, rogershood.com is the website. And then you can find me on Instagram. It's MRSROGERS.hood. And then on my other platforms, it's just MRSROGERSHOOD.
Amazing. You guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope you loved this episode. I actually had my mind blown today. And I've never been more happy to be on a parasite cleanse. So you guys make sure you check out Parafy. Try it out. Let us know what you think. Send us pictures if you see any crazy worms.
Mhm.
And I cannot wait to chat with you guys soon. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.